Hey, I'm Terry, and I'm back here, day 12, post-op from my ACDF surgery, the anterior cervical discectomy fusion surgery. A lot of you are watching this video here because you're probably going to have this surgery in the future and you want to know what's going to happen, what to expect. In this video, I'm going to show you what I've dealt with up to this point and some of the things that you may not think about. So I have some tips and suggestions that might help you out if you're going to have this surgery. So the first thing I want to tell you is that people come up to me and they'll ask me all the time now, since I've had the surgery, how do you feel? How do you feel? And it's automatically, it's one of those things, but well, my incision's a little tender, blah, 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 by the back of my neck from the surgery, anticipated pain, that's normal, blah, blah, blah. But the most important thing, the most amazing thing is that I'm pain-free. I don't have any pain. I spent the last 5 months in pain from the upper 1/4 of my body, 24/7 in pain. It's gone. That's the most important thing that needs to be said. When someone asks, how are you feeling? I'm out of pain. The pain I've had from the surgery, the surgical pain itself is nothing, absolutely nothing compared to the pain I've been dealing with for 5 months. And this is the latest flare-up. I've had this nerve impingement pain flare up over the last 3-4 years, and I probably would go 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months before somehow this pain would go away and it would come back again. This last time was about 5 months. It is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing, the difference. I went to the hospital for the surgery and I couldn't even sit in the seat in the car straight. I had to hunch over, lean over, because the pressure of my body against the seat would trigger the pain, just make it horrible. And so after the surgery, it was the same day of surgery, came home, I was just sitting back in the seat, came back home, instantly better. I couldn't believe it. They gave me pain medication post-op, and it helped a lot. The first couple days where it was really needed, because just to get to sleep was it was really needed for that. But on day 6, I was not needing the pain medicine anymore. Day 3 to day 6, I was just using the pain medicine at nighttime just to make it easier to sleep. So the pain medicine is, I'll give you some tips and suggestions on how to get through the pain cycles and to maybe hopefully get off the pain medicine as soon as possible. I took the pain medicine at night primarily because during the day I didn't have any pain. Like I said, the surgical pain was nothing compared to what I've been living with. I don't know if that was it, but I really wasn't in that much pain from the surgery either. But at night, you're hopefully sleeping and you're going to be tossing around a little bit, and you don't realize you can cause pain from just moving around in your sleep. So the first couple of nights I was in my recliner sleeping, and that's what they recommended to do for the first 1 to 2 weeks, even, to sleep in your recliner. And it is kind of important. You need to have your head raised up, post-op anyway, to make sure you can breathe a little easier after surgery. The pain medicine made it so I really didn't know up from down there for the first couple of days, so sleeping wasn't such an issue. But as I was backing off the pain meds, I just couldn't stand sleeping in the recliner anymore. By day 3, I was looking to sleep back in my bed again, because I just don't like sleeping in a recliner. After a couple hours in the recliner, it hurts from like my waist down to my feet, if not goes numb. And it's a whole nother pain that I didn't want to deal with, so I just started going back to the bed. The recliners, I don't like sleeping on my back, and you just can't turn on your side in a recliner. Our bodies aren't made to bend that way, so the recliners just aren't for me. Took a little used to sleeping in the bed, because you got to be careful rolling over, sitting up, getting out of bed. The first couple times doing that, you got to take your time, maybe even get some assistance from someone. You got to really take it easy, and I'll show you why in a little bit. A lot of you who have had the surgery in the past, or you're going to have the surgery, you may be aware that most of you have to wear a neck collar post-op, and I never did. It's just from the recommendation from my surgeon. I'm not doing this on my own. but the surgeon told me that I did not need to wear a neck collar, neck brace after surgery. And I didn't flat out ask him or nothing, but I can just assume that it may be because it goes patient by patient. But I think that my bone structure is strong enough to hold the implants a little bit better than some other people. I may be young enough where I can get away with it, or with it enough where I'm going to follow the instructions as I should. I don't know what it all is, but it's up to the surgeon. If you're going to have surgery, you have to follow the surgeon's instructions. If he says wear the neck brace, wear the neck collar, you have to wear it. They do it person by person, patient by patient, individually, as to if you wear it or not. It's a really important surgery to follow the post-op instructions, because if you mess it up, it can be a catastrophic thing to mess up the surgery that they just did. So follow their instructions. I didn't have the neck collar, and so my head movement, I think I don't force left or right, up or down at all. I'm going to wait maybe 3-4 weeks to let everything heal before I start, putting a little more stretch to it. But as it stands right now, I have probably, I would say, 45-degree left and right motion, probably pretty close to the same up and down, and before I feel any resistance or any discomfort. So I'm not doing anything movement-wise to cause problems, and I don't want to cause problems. It's too early in the stage of the healing process. So I've got a diagram here, some information they handed out in the hospital for me, and I'll show you here. Okay, so this is a side view. This is the side view right here of the neck bones, the vertebrae. The vertebrae are the bones, in between is your disc. There are nerves that come out through this opening on both sides, and what was happening is this disc was wearing out, these bones were coming closer together, pinching down on the nerves, causing the problems. That's probably most of everybody's situation that's going to have this surgery. So what they did is they go in, this is the front of you, this is the back of you, they come in through here, they take away the old disc, they put in spacers, well, I call them spacers, they're implants that space this, they spread the vertebrae, put in the spacers to hold it in place, and then they put, as you can see here, they put a thin metal plate on there and fasten it with a couple screws. So this is what would be called a one-level repair. This is like, say, your cervical spine. If this is C5, C6, C stands for cervical vertebrae 5, cervical vertebrae 6, C5, C6, space between, the plate holds them still so they don't move, and that's permanent. That's always stays in, and they sink these long screws in to hold it in place. So the healing process, the main thing is to make sure that spacer doesn't move out of place until the bone gets a chance to go around it, and these screws don't slip out. And that plate, the bone will go into the screws in around that plate, and after, I guess, 2 months or so, the bone will pretty well have that captured. That's why they want you to wear the neck collar usually. It says to keep you from moving around too much, dislodging these pieces, and if these things come apart, you're going to be in trouble. So it's super important to follow your post-op instructions. Wear the collar if they tell you to wear the collar. Follow the instructions. Don't lift stuff that's too heavy. Do exactly what they say, because this is super important. You mess this up, you're going to regret it. One of the things I've been having troubles with, and it's just, I'm assuming it's going to be a temporary thing and it will get better, and it actually has been getting better, is swallowing food. And so they recommend right from the day one to try like puddings and jellos and soft foods and liquid diet type stuff at first. There's some inflammation in there, and so your esophagus, your food tube, is going to be constricted a little bit, so it's tougher to get the food through there. Well, I'm at day 12. I'm still having some issues with that. It's getting better though. A lot of times, like if I have a bite of toast, I can feel it's a little bit tough to swallow it past where that surgical area is or was. To kind of explain all that a little bit better is back to this picture again. So this is looking at it from the side angle of a person. So here's your front, here's your back, your mouth is up here. You chew your food, comes in, goes down the esophagus or the food tube for your mouth to your stomach. Well, in front of that is the air tube, the trachea. So you got the trachea, your esophagus, and your spine. Well, they put that thin plate in there right behind the esophagus, so that plate bumps into your esophagus. Your trachea isn't going anywhere, so that's where it gets pinched down a little bit at first. It just takes some getting used to. There's a little bit of inflammation around there, some new bone growth around there. It's gonna pinch in the esophagus a little bit, but I think that your body should adjust and that should get better. But that's pretty much it. That's the problem area. The only good thing about that is if you feel like you're gonna choke, the only good thing about it is that where the trachea comes up, where you breathe through your mouth, it splits right about here. Comes in, splits, your food goes here, your air goes here. So if you get a little food stuck there, you're not going to be gasping for air. I mean, maybe take a little sip of water and push it down. But the last issue that I have as far as the troubles part of the thing post-op, and it was probably the worst thing, and I wasn't warned about it, and I didn't even think about it, and it didn't happen until about day 7, day 8, I sneezed. Wow. And as soon as I felt the sneeze coming, I immediately thought about it. I'm like, holy cow. Oh, and it hit, and it just felt like someone just set a grenade off in my neck. It was a showstopper. There's not much you can do about that. That too gets better. Like this morning I sneezed and it was a little uncomfortable, but it was better. But in the early days, if you have to sneeze, just be ready. That is. So now back to some of the tips that hopefully can help you. If you're looking to have this surgery, some of these things you can get prepared ahead of time. So I wrote down a few things here, but along with the soft foods, the puddings, the jellos, there's liquid, anything you can make, shakes, malts. You can do all sorts of things you can get you through the first couple of days, and then you'll need some of it as you go on, and then work into the other foods slowly. Clothing is something you need to take in consideration, especially if you're going to have a collar on. Get a button-down shirt. It's so much easier to get dressed in the morning. The button-down shirts, and plus it keeps you from having to raise your arms up real high over your head for a prolonged period of time just to get dressed. You can unbutton this to fit around your collar a little bit better. It's just so much more comfortable. It's a lot easier to get undressed in the evening too. So wear clothes that are easy to use. Whether it be sweatpants or some type of jogging shorts or something, shoes that are easy to slip into that you don't have to tie. Anything to keep you from bending over. This is just short term, first couple of weeks to get you through it. When you are going out and about around the house, doing things after surgery, and let's just say you drop something on the floor. Well, normally you just bend over, pick it up, but right after surgery, you really can't be bending over, stooping over. I suggest maybe getting one of those pickup tools, those little handles with the claw on the end. You can trigger it. Have one of those handy. They're super cheap. You can get them on Amazon. Get those so you don't have to lean over to pick up stuff. It's a lot safer for you, especially for those of you that don't have good balance to begin with. You really don't want to fall over. That would be bad. So spend a few bucks, get one of those pickup tools. You can pick up things. It happens a lot. Trust me, you'll have all sorts of things falling on the floor that you wouldn't think. Prep your family and friends to the idea of helping you. Talk to them ahead of time about, say, hey, I'm going to have this surgery. Would you mind helping me out for the first couple of weeks? Whatever you need to have done, depending on what you normally do during the day, determine how much help you really need. Like for me, I've got a gazillion things that I normally do inside the house, outside the house. So luckily I've got a family that's helping me a lot. Friends come over, they've been helping quite a bit. You want to explain to them how important it is that you don't do stuff. I mean, you really can't even do dishes, laundry, simple things. Have them with the right mindset so they understand how important it is to do just the simplest of things for you. And one thing that I should have done before and I didn't is make a chore list. And it's not your chore list, it's for them, because what happens is you have people come over and visit. It's a lot easier to just sit there and talk with them and talk about everything else in the world. And then when it comes down to the point, what do you want me to do? And my mind goes blank. I can't remember anything. So make a list, simple as it is. Make a list throughout the week before your surgery. Make a list throughout the week after your surgery, because there's going to be things that you'll think of during the week and you'll forget about later on anyway. It's going to help you out. It's going to help your friends and family to get things done that need to be done. Have them come over on a Saturday morning for an hour or two. If you got someone, just work around their schedules. The toughest thing about this whole surgery is, for me, is watching people do simple stuff for me. I don't like it, but it's got to be done. It's very important to follow the post-op instructions that they give you. And for me, they said not to lift anything more than 10 pounds is one of the restrictions, one of many restrictions. So that's, I mean, a gallon of milk is what, 8-9 pounds? So that's kind of a gauge as to what you should be lifting, if at all. If you can adhere to these instructions that they give you, it helps keep any inflammation down. The inflammation is what causes the pain, usually. So the less you do, less inflammation, less pain, you heal quicker. It's a win-win. So one of the other things that the post-op instructions say to do is get up, move around, go for walks. And that is very helpful. You don't want to have a blood clot form. That can be a little bit of a disaster in itself. It can be deadly even. So get up, walk around, and follow the instructions as to how much you should walk around, because you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to exhaust yourself, and you certainly don't want to fall over, because right after the surgery, if you're on pain medicine, you might not have good balance. So you just got to take it at a reasonable pace. But the one thing that helped me a lot is the earthing technique, which you can see in the whichever side it is. Click on that card and you can watch my video on earthing. It's a technique of easing inflammation, which helps with the pain. I used the earthing technique before surgery. It was the only thing that reduced my pain back then. And I used it post-op, and it also helped for that. It's probably one of the main reasons why I was able to get off my pain meds early. I just didn't stop the meds just because I thought I'd be tough about it. I really didn't have any pain. My surgical pain, I really didn't have the surgical site pain. I really didn't have hardly any pain there ever. But then I would spend 30 minutes a day outside. Simple thing to do, earthing. Check it out. It can really help you heal faster, reduces your pain, makes life a lot easier, and it's so simple to do. The last tip that I have for you is probably the most obvious, is that you're going to have a ton of spare time in your hands. So find something to do. Reading is the obvious choice, and things are so much easier for choices now in reading. You can go and get some Audible things over your cell phone, which my wife set me up to do that, and I've listened to books on that. If you're on pain meds, you'll probably fall asleep during listening to the books, but when you're off the pain meds, you can listen to whatever you want. You can find it. One good book I could highly recommend is Severed. It's a really good book. Kelly Masters wrote this. Can't wait for his next book. It's a good read. And of course, there's the book. There's always that one. If you've had what you think would be an interesting life, you want other people to know about it, you can write your own book. You've got plenty of time to do it. So I hope this video helps you out. I hope it helps you understand what the surgery is about. I hope there's some helpful ideas I've given you to get you through your surgery. I know you'll do fine. Just keep in mind what the goal is of the surgery, to make you pain-free. For me, that's what it was anyway. Maybe get some feeling back if you got some numbness and tingling. It's so worth it. It is so worth it, but you have to follow the post-op instructions. That's the most important part of the whole thing. You do not want to screw that up, but if you're going to have the surgery, Good luck. I know you're going to do great. I'll come back with another video when something has changed. Might be another 3 or 4 weeks after I've seen my doctor for a checkup, and I'll keep you updated as to anything that's going on. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.